Hello everyone, I'm Ben, and thanks for watching Ben the Pen Man. Today I have a really special video for you. I'll be doing a watercolor painting about a book I've been writing called Azure Blade. This is my first video on YouTube, so thanks for watching. This is the storytelling version, but I'll link the video without commentary in the description if you just want to watch me paint and listen to music. Here I'm showing some of my initial sketches of the characters and settings. Jack here isn't in the painting, but he's important to the story, so remember him. These ink drawings are on my website at thescratchofapen.weebly.com. I drew them for Inktober last year, but I'm using them as references as well. Go and check out the rest of them and tell me in the comments which of the characters in those drawings you want to see more of, or any of the characters you see in this painting today. On my channel, I prefer to talk about my stories to my process. So while you watch me get started, I'll just talk a little bit about where I got the idea for this book I'm writing, and tell you a bit about the characters and places you see. I actually started writing this book back in high school. I've been writing stories since I was very young, and at the time I'd written a few books of varying quality, and I was notorious for dropping old projects and starting new ones. At the time, I wanted to make a book that I could release one chapter at a time, kind of like a TV series. Not for any good reason other than that I wanted to see if it felt different writing. It kinda did, making sure each chapter was substantial enough. But in the end, since that was all I was going for, it ended up being pretty basic. The basic premise was like a lot of young adult novels, where the protagonist is a normal kid, and they turn out to be a chosen one, or end up going on some magical quest in a magical world, and they're the hero. It wasn't bad. I liked the characters, but it was basic, and I dropped it after a while. Well, like I was saying earlier, I tended to start projects and drop them as I got bored when I was a kid. So I decided about a year or two ago to look at my old projects and see if I thought I could go back to any of them. And I liked this one, but I felt weird about it. If you write, tell me whether you do this or not in the comments, but I based a few of the characters off of random people in my life at the time, and I wasn't quite comfortable leaving the more obvious ones in there, especially of people that I no longer see, but I liked it. So I kind of wanted to change the normal world that was the setting for the first book before they get into the magical world. And I realized how cool the story would be if not only the magical world the protagonist gets sucked to, but the world they start in were different from ours and special. I transformed that old world into a sort of mechanically minded world, where they live on strange land formations in vertical villages built on scaffolding. And suddenly it was just so magical in its own right. I really started to love this story, and started a whole rewrite to build it into what I wanted it to be. And I'm excited to share with you about the setting and characters I've created. Let's start with Oberk. In the original draft, this was the quote-unquote normal world. They have steam technology and even electricity, but they stick to very rough, almost steampunk-like designs for their inventions. They have winged flying machines they use to move around, and they build their homes in scaffolding that they build around strange rock formations in their world called Brellas. Brellas are like giant stone trees. Their tall, thick stone trunks hold up a spiderweb of interweaving stone branches on top, and you'll see a few in the painting. The branches block out a lot of the light from the land below, so the area below is very swampy. It's hard to travel in, and it's even harder because they've planted giant bushes they call bedweed to catch people if they fall off of the Brellas, which is why they use flying machines to travel, and that's also why they built their cities on the sides of these Brellas. These cities tend to stay very separated though, and there aren't any big governments on Oberk. The people here actually do have magic. This was a feature I kept from the original book, but they don't know how to use it. The protagonist, who I'll introduce in just a second, is actually really strong with it, but they only really know how to create little orbs of light with it. And it's really considered nothing more than a fun little trick to the people of Oberk. Next is the magical world. See, this place is very different from Oberk, and it's a different world entirely. I won't go into details, but it's very, very far away. This world is called Spasalon. Here they live like medieval people, and they're divided into huge kingdoms. These people know magic. They found how to inscribe runes into things, and use their magic to get effects with those runes. They can make fire, fly, strengthen themselves, and even make rain with those runes. The strongest magic users are their rulers, called Archons. These people are chosen for their bravery and strength by powerful crystal weapons. The titular Azure blade, Exir, the golden bow, Ymat, and the emerald axe, Irin, are all pictured in this painting. These weapons were said to be created by their god, the Shining One, and only the purest of hearts can claim them. Combined with them are colored crystal towers, which are said to house the power of the Archons, strengthening them so that they can protect their kingdoms. Months before our story begins, though, there is a very strange occurrence, and a man appears calling himself Efinir, with a crystal scythe colored black. No one knew of a crystal scythe of any color, and the man claims he obtained the weapon with one sole purpose, which is to destroy the Archons. As soon as he appears, a black tower of crystal appears, ripping through the land like a scar. No one knows where this Efinir came from or how he got his power, but it seems to be growing. Not only that, but he is slowly gaining supporters as well, and they too seem to have their magical abilities augmented by this black tower to a degree. The Archons quickly realize this man is a serious threat to all of their kingdoms, and come together to try and stop him and his followers from destroying their land. In their search, they realize Efinir has been traveling to a very distant land. he found a group of people who have magic but don't know how to use it and can't fight back. Oberk. He has gone there to find people and perform a ritual to suck their magical power and soul out of them. In an attempt to foil those attempts to grow his power, they send 3 Archons to follow him, and they travel to Oberk in an attempt to finally destroy Ethenir once and for all. Jack, bearer of the Azure Blade, Exir, Lisel, bearer of the Golden Bow, Ymat, and Raquel, bearer of the Emerald Axe, Irin, are sent, and their kingdoms are left without them for some time. Those 3 Archons disappear for a lot longer than their kingdoms anticipated. In the kingdom of Freya, where young Jack ruled, they live a very lonely, solitary life, wondering what happened to their Archon. Their answer doesn't come from a messenger, though, but through the Blue Rose, the blue crystal tower where the power of Exir's Archon is housed. Without warning, one day, the tower's beautiful glow goes dark, signaling the death of their Archon. However, before they even know what to do, the tower lights up again, signaling Exir has been reclaimed by a worthy soul, and they have a new Archon. Normally this process would be done over time, allowing for many different people to attempt to claim the blade, but Azure accepted whoever attempted to claim it, and they are now bound to the blade. They send a messenger to the Blue Rose and attempt to find out more, but she also disappears for longer than anticipated, leaving the kingdom in a terrible limbo, not knowing who or where their new ruler is. And here he is, our protagonist Will. He is a poor farmer who farms the top of the Brillas where light reaches. He's powerful with magic and was a target for Efanir. He was about to have his magic and soul sucked away from him when the 3 Archons came to his rescue. Jack, the bearer of Azure, was killed in the process. In an attempt to protect his family, Will took the sword and unknowingly claimed it. Will isn't very confident in himself, but suddenly he is thrown into a world where magic is real, powerful, and he is one of the strongest wielders of it. He's going to have to learn and grow a lot before he can become the Archon he needs to be. This is Will's sister, Sydney. She's much more confident than her brother and a bit headstrong. She's almost an adult and likes to be treated like one, but because she's only barely an adult, she tends to get grouped with the kids a lot. Ashley is kind of like the princess of the Brella where Will and Sydney live. That's not an official title or anything, but her father owns the Brella. She's very beautiful, kind, a bit pampered, and a beautiful singer. Will understandably has a thing for her, but she's not very sure of himself. She'll play a lot into Will's confidence arcs. And this is Jared. He's about Will's age, and their parents co-own the farm on the top of the Brella, so they do a lot together. He's really smart and technically minded, but he's also fairly lazy and doesn't do much unless he has to. He also has a thing for Sydney, but doesn't like to admit it. And this is the young Arcanist, Lisel. She wields the golden bow Ymat, and she's very good at using magic, and very exact. She's an intense person and tends to be cold towards people when she doesn't mean to. Before he died, Jack was one of the only people that could make her smile. She has a very hard time dealing with his death, and doesn't blame Will, but sometimes resents the fact that he has replaced the one that she loved. Jinli is the guide for the bearer of Azure. She helps new Archons learn about their responsibilities, and will be very important to the story. Raquel is the strongest of the 3 Archons sent to Oberk. He's much older than Jack and Lisel, and was meant to be the experience of the group. He's a very large man and very kind, but he doesn't like to talk about himself. He is the one trying to keep them together as Lisel mourns Jack's loss and Will learns about being an Archon. And finally, we have Athenir. Like I said earlier, his past is completely unknown. Even to his closest generals, he's very cold and exact. He focuses primarily on destroying the Archons, and plays on the wrongs that many people feel they've received at the hands of the Archons to keep their loyalty. He claims to have been wronged in the past by the Archons, but the specifics are completely unknown. And that's my little introduction to the characters and locales of the book I'm working on called Azure Blade. Most of what I've talked about is revealed in the first few chapters of the book, so there's a lot more to come in the book, and if you want to find out more about the characters, I can definitely make more videos. I'm just over halfway done with the first draft of Book 1, which is admittedly a little bit early to be making an in-depth video talking about it. But it is a rewrite, and I feel like I'm moving very quickly through it. Incidentally, I have been writing each chapter with enough detail to make a substantial episode, like I'd planned with the original. So if you know of a service where I can release it one chapter at a time, I'd definitely be able to release it a bit earlier. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching to the end. This is a very new channel, so please like and subscribe if you liked the video. It will help me get out to other people so they can see this too. To close out, I'll leave you with one final look over the painting. I'll see you next time.